welcome to your favorite show, the Inland Sports TV show, here at the beautiful Teen Vision TV 16 studios in Paris, although it's technically Moreno Valley, depending who you ask, right, in this area. We appreciate you tuning in every single Tuesday night, 6 p.m., as we go over all the big news happening in the Inland Empire. We just finished up the high school baseball and softball seasons, although it's not technically over. We got Justin Solis going to join us in just a moment as we talk about the Inland Empire Baseball Coaches Association All-Star Game. It's coming up June 1st at old Fiscalini Field in San Bernardino Historic Ballpark. So we're going to talk about that. We also have Mike Lindskog, the voice of the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. He's going to join us live via Skype coming up a little bit later. We also have, and it's always a good time to talk high school football, the head coach of the Heritage Patriots, Kraig Broach, was going to join us live in studio right here to talk a little high school football. And then we're going to wrap things up with a little bit of CBU baseball. CBU baseball going on the road, taking 2 out of 3 against New Mexico State to win a share of the WAC regular season championship. So a big show, and we start with high school softball and high school baseball. High school softball, and Norco is your Division I CIF Southern Section champion once again. That is 5 CIF Southern Section titles, Division I, in the past decade. They beat Great Oak by a final score of 2-0 to lock up that another title last year. They're the reigning champs. They went to Angel Stadium. They did the whole thing because they have that mythical national championship. They will be the mythical state champions once again, and somehow Rick Robinson right there keeps that thing going out there. I know it's called Horsetown, USA. It's more like Titletown, USA, because Norco softball just keeps going along. Baseball. We had 2 local teams playing for CIF Southern Section championships at Dodger Stadium. In Division II, Norco lost a heartbreaker in 12 innings against Santa Margarita 1-0. But in Division III, there's the champs, the Great Oak Wolfpack, winning their first ever CIF Southern Section championship in Division III against La Cañada. 7-0 was the final score. A huge win for Great Oak to cap off a great season because they already play in a brutal Southwestern League. So for the Wolfpack to emerge out of that league, put together this great run in Division III, go to Chavez Ravine and get the job done in decisive fashion. Complete game, a one-hitter against La Cañada. Against 7-0 was the final score. Let's hear from Great Oak head coach Eric Morton about this championship win and a couple of his star players at Dodger Stadium getting the job done. Here's Great Oak.
Inland Sports.
I'm just, just a piece of the puzzle along with my other coaches. It's been great chemistry all year, not only with the players but with the coaches, and I think the kids see that. But yeah, it was different. I came back this year with a new perspective in baseball. I guess a new appreciation of it, because when you're not coaching, it's tough. And I came back with a little more gratitude and just a little bit more love for the game, and obviously love for the players, because this team will go down in Great Oak history, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I really didn't focus on the perfect game. I was just kind of focused on throwing strikes and just getting out of here quick. I had the lead, but I knew with my team behind me and the hitting we were doing today, it was awesome. So I wasn't really thinking about the perfect game.
I'll tell you, from a young age, dreaming about something like this, it's kind of hard to sleep once you realize that it's going to be a reality very soon. After winning that game on Tuesday, we were all dogpiling at our field too, and it's been such an experience, and there's honestly nothing like it. Playing on a field like this, it's an honor, and it's just amazing having this kind of experience with this team and being able to make it all the way and become champions.
Inland Sports.
So congrats to the Great Oak Wolfpack, your CIF Southern Section champion in Division III, first school baseball title in school history. As Eric Morton, he was the head coach, and he became the AD, and then he came back, and then he won the title. So what a way to come back. But right now, again, I told you, high school baseball season, it's not over here in the Inland Empire. We still have the IEBCA Senior All-Star Game June 1st at Fiscalini Field. And joining us here on the show, it's El Presidente, the president of the IEBCA, the great Justin Solis, who's also a coach at King High School, full disclosure over here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Where's my boy Madrill right now? Is he in the backyard grilling, or what's he doing?
He's probably playing with his big green egg right now. He's probably got some ribs and maybe a tri-tip on there.
The big green egg is a smoker. He's always out there with all exotic meats out there in the big green egg.
Having another one of our coaches, Sammy Maniaci, Madman Barbecue. You got to try it.
All right, so we're talking about the Inland Empire Baseball Coaches Association All-Star Game, and it's going to be June 1st. That's a Saturday, 5 o'clock first pitch at Fiscalini Field. Coach, first off, I'm looking at the rosters. It looks like you've got pretty much all the heavy hitters, the big names in the IE for this All-Star Game.
We have a ton of guys. They are phenomenal. You're going to probably have some names called in the June draft. There's Pac-12 teams. There's Big West commits that some guys are going to the Midwest to play. Xavier, and some guys are staying local. Cal Baptist, San Bernardino, all kinds of studs out there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the roster. I mean, you got guys from all over. Of course, a lot of Big 8 schools. Corona and King. I see Norco, of course. But Paris, Temescal Canyon, Centennial. I'm just talking about the Riverside squad right now. Hemet, Pauley, Notre Dame, and for the San Bernardino squad, of course, you got to have some Yucaipa guys, right? Because Yucaipa had a great year.
Guys. Yeah, they have 4 guys on the San Bernardino squad this year. They were studs.
And they deserve it.
Oh, by far, they deserve it.
Of course, led the way by Tyson Heaton and Carpentier from Yucaipa. I also see Keaton Hobson, the catcher out of Redlands East Valley.
Yes.
Who's committed to the University of Arizona. In fact, he's probably signed, but again, he's another guy that could hear his name called during the draft.
He's another guy, and it's going to be hopefully these guys continue. They've committed to play in our All-Star game, and hopefully they're able to get them out there and play on Saturday. So
the head coaches for this game, who's the head coach for the San Bernardino and the Riverside team?
For the San Bernardino, it is Leon Bam from Rupa Hills. From the Riverside squad, it's Neil Post from Temescal Canyon.
And how did you pick coaches? How does that go about? Do you sit in a room and Madrill's got the green egg going and you just decide, or what?
Pretty much. We talk about it as a board about who is deserving with so many, if they had any kind of milestone wins or how their season went or over time, longevity, volunteerism, because we are a nonprofit organization. We don't do anything without our member coaches, and so we want to be able to show them our appreciation.
Now, if I remember correctly, Jurupa Hills won the San Andreas League championship, and Temescal Canyon, I believe, won the Ivy League. Right?
Correct.
So, you got a couple of league championship coaches heading up both of these All-Star teams. I saw a lot of information going into this All-Star game, and there's several coaches who hit coaching milestones this season. A bunch of them. We're talking about hundreds of wins this year.
Yes.
What's that like, seeing so many Inland Empire guys hit these benchmarks?
It's pretty cool seeing these guys with these milestones. 200 wins for high school and college combined. You have Ralph Grajeda from Yucaipa, Leon Bam, Rupa Hills. 300 wins. Ron Savage out of Tahquitz, tied to Trinidad from Santiago. 400 wins. Esteban Valencia out of Redlands. 500 wins. Bill Edinger.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that's NG.
And Bob Sheehan out of Beaumont.
Yeah.
600 wins. 600 wins.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
Such a longevity. I think it just maybe speaks volumes of, not only the talent level, but also the commitment of coaches in the Inland Empire. They get to a program, they don't want to leave,
No, last Monday, Coach Gary Rungo was inducted to the Hall of Fame at Arlington. Right. And so, he was honored a couple years ago from us. And it shows the testament to these guys, to day in, day out, the grind, 30 years or whatever it may be to get these wins. And that's a long time.
Now, Coach Solis over here is a math teacher, not just a math teacher, but like kind of the upper classes, right? You said like pre-calculus and...
I teach pre-calculus and Math 3. So if you're not used to the new Common Core, Math 3 is basically the old Algebra 2.
Okay.
So Algebra 2, pre-calculus is what I'm doing.
I think I hit calculus trigonometry my senior year in high school. I think I was one of those guys.
I did that my junior year. Yeah.
Oh. Smart guy over here, everybody. Are you a sabermetrics guy then? Because right now we're not just baseball. I guess in a lot of sports, people want to look at the numbers and try to predict things based on analytics. Are you, because you're a math teacher, do you like to delve into those things and say, hey, Coach Madrill, we shouldn't do that over here. My numbers show that we should throw this guy on the mound or something like that?
The sample size of high school, you might not be able to do that as well, but, you play guys over so many years. They come in as freshmen or sophomores as studs. You might be able to do that. But sabermetrics, analytics, they do work.
Yeah.
But you do have to play baseball. You do have to have people out there and play. Our scouting reports are pretty good, from what I'm told. The banquet guys were talking about our scouting reports. They're maybe a little in depth. Maybe it's from the football background, but it's fun. The math works, and when it works, I get to tell other coaches, "Hey, told you so."
But a lot of time, I think of like Mike Scioscia with the Angels. He's one of those old school managers. I say old school. He's not really that old, but old school managers who, they just coach by their gut. Like what's their gut feeling in this situation. And now we're kind of living in a time where these front office nerds are saying, "Oh, you know what? The numbers prove this." And I don't know. Maybe there's a combination where you can do both.
I think you have to blend. In my opinion, I think you really have to blend it, because if you just go straight numbers, there's always an anomaly. You don't know how a guy's feeling today. Maybe, especially for teenagers, girlfriend might have broke up with him. That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
That is a huge emotional toll on these kids. And
he's your starting pitcher that day. What do you
he's our guy on the bump that day. What's going to happen? Maybe you don't know. The other team doesn't know. The guy rolled his ankle.
Yeah.
Coaches are real good at hiding injuries. We don't have to publish that.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to play and reference what you know as well.
I like to nerd out on those numbers, but let's go back to the All-Star game for now. You have, is it the Fred Smith Scholarship that you're going to be passing out?
The Fred Smith Scholarship. Fred Smith, for those of you in the baseball community probably knew him as Fast Freddie, and he was an umpire for almost 30 years in the area. He had passed away this past fall, and we want to honor him, and we've created a scholarship for each county. So the MVP of each county is going to get some money.
Cool.
We've partnered with Fan Funded as the fundraiser, and we've been able to come up with some money, and in his honor, we want to help out some kids.
That's very cool. And I'm sure I don't know, you could probably speak to the King guys that usually the star players on a team are also the guys who have like 4.0s, 4.5s, they volunteer at church, like they're the poster boy for everything you want, right?
That's right. At King, character counts, part of the peak stuff we do at King High School, but we want to be able to put a little more pizzazz or something on the game. We want to say, hey, we recognize you tonight, you're a stud, and because of that, and not only because of tonight, because while you're here, right? You were an all-league guy, your coach nominated you were chosen for this, and tonight you really performed, and we want to show our appreciation and say thank you. And so they'll get some money. They just have to prove that they're in school, and then come back and show us a bill, and we'll write them a check.
Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll enroll for a couple of units. All right, so of all the coaches in the IEBCA, who can still play? Like if you're going to run out some guys on the field, who could still play ball to this day?
Man, that's a tough question. We have over 70 members within the organization, within our association, I should say. And I think everybody still thinks they can play.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You still think, hey, I got one hitter.
Yeah.
Maybe give me one AB. Maybe you probably can't run, though. Let's take
someone
that out.
Someone can mash. Someone can probably throw.
We might be able to do what the showcases do now, just take away the 60.
Yeah. Just hit, pitch.
Yeah, BP and a bullpen, take a ground ball, but take away the 60. There's a lot of guys that can still play doing that.
Well, the Inland Empire Baseball Coaches Association All-Star Game is coming up. That's June 1st at Fiscalini Field. And, Coach, we always appreciate the time. Is there a good place where people might get more information? I know the IEBCA is on Twitter. I know that for a fact.
Our Twitter handle will be a great place to start. Our website, leaguelineup.com/IEBCA is another good go-to spot.
Who's your social media guy? He's real active on there.
He's real active.
Yeah.
Coach Steve Madrill is the Director of Social Media.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a big title.
That's a big-time title right there.
He's one of our favorites.
He is.
All right, Coach Solis, we appreciate the time.
Thank
and again, June 1st, Fiscalini Field, the IEBCA Senior All-Star Game. When we come back, again, we're going to talk a little Rancho Cucamonga Quakes baseball, and we've got Kraig Broach, the head coach at Heritage, as it's never too early to talk high school football here on the Inland Sports Show. We'll be right back.
going on, guys? This is Ray Bass from Boost Performance Training. You're watching the Inland Sports Show with the one and only Pep Fernandez.
The Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Spoiled. Quick, quality oil change. Spoil yourself and your car at Spoiled. Kin Sporting Goods. They have all of your sporting gear needs, Letterman's jackets, and team uniforms. And Boost Performance Training with Coach Ray Bass. Athletes of all levels and all sports are going to Boost Performance Training in Corona.
God, first of all, I thank the great people that I've got around me that help support me, the people that work for me. As I started, if it wasn't for the people around me, we probably wouldn't be here right now, but I've got a great staff. I've got great people that do stuff for us outside the store, and we've been very, very fortunate. Our service is impeccable, and we just keep trying to get better every year. We can do online stuff for your teams, as well as, like I said, the screen printing, the embroidery. We also have 3 women that do extra sewing for us, like tackle tool on uniforms, or the bling or rhinestones for different shirts for the ladies. That's why we have certain racks just for certain schools, and the fun about that is that it turns into other schools that may come in here that aren't as close, that we can do stuff for them as well. We've had very, very good customers throughout the years, and it's just been a blast.
Focus on the customer here. Believe it or not, that is the biggest thing for customers on an oil change. They just want the convenience of coming in, driving in, getting it done, and driving out. We just greet them, get them going, and they're done in about 10 minutes or so. We don't push any sales on them. We do the oil change, and I think that's what sets us apart is our customer service. Vacuumed and cleaned your windshield for you as well. Everything's looking pretty good. Come into us one time, believe me, we'll spoil you and you'll be ready to come back the next time.
Inland Sports.
You know what? Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up, 40, because the NBA actually announced their 3 finalists for the MVP. So they actually have their finalists. Before the season is completely over, they already throw out, here's our 3 finalists. Okay. Kawhi's not on the list.
Really?
It's James Harden, who was the MVP from last year.
Right.
Giannis, the Greek freak, and Paul George.
Really?
I like Giannis out of those.
I do too, but I'm like, I'm kind of
list.
Paul George over Kawhi, huh?
That's the thing. Like, maybe I'm playing favorites because Kawhi went to Riverside King High School.
Well, yes.
Kawhi's got to be in the top 3.
Right.
He has to be.
Inland Sports.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show. Big thanks to Justin Solis for stopping by. We continue the baseball talk as we check in with our favorite broadcaster of all time, Mike Lindskog, the voice of the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. In fact, his voice is the soundtrack of my summer. He's been called the Vin Scully of the Inland Empire. Mike, how are you doing today? Look at you. Where are you?
I got a bar on top of my white head here.
What?
That's an interesting look for me.
Yeah,
I'm glad that all this technology is paying off for me here, and I got this bar. I'm quite sure how I'm juggling this on top of my spiky hair, but it's working for me.
Yeah, I don't know how you did that, but it's interesting. Where are you right now?
Say again? On the Lomar Field. We got a home game. What do you mean, where am I at?
Well, you look like you're at a dentist's office or something.
Well, I'm in one of the suites. I mean, where do you want me to do this? Like, go down to the field and like interrupt batting practice and what have you?
Who are the Quakes playing tonight? Who's coming into town?
So we are playing the Visalia Rawhide. They are the top team, not only in the North Division but in the California League as well. They're a good ball club, Arizona Diamondbacks California League affiliate. This is the franchise. I won't say this is the team. This is the franchise that we beat last year in the California League Championship Series, and they have been off to a fantastic start here in 2019. So we actually just played them at home here a couple of weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago, in fact. Dropped 2 of 3. Really talented ball club. So this next 3-game series is the matchup, the best team in the North, Visalia, and of course our Quakes, the best team in the South, as they've got a 3-game lead in the South Division standings right now.
And also the defending, obviously, Cal League champion. So, Mike, where is that Cal League championship ring? Do you wear it to the ballpark every night?
You know, I thought about putting it on tonight just to, do one of these numbers on you into the Skype machine here, but no, it's at home, safely tucked away, right there on the dresser, so I can see it every morning when I get ready and have a good memory. Just
to inspire you, right? To win the day,
Exactly.
Mike, who are some of the current Quakes that we need to keep an eye on? I know this is kind of a staple question and we ask you quite a bit, but there's always young guys who, especially if you're a Dodgers fan, you want to keep an eye on these guys because it may just be a matter of time before we see them in the big leagues. I mean, all the guys that we talk about now, like the Cody Bellingers of the world, Corey Seager, they were all Quakes at one point. Who are the guys we should keep an eye on right now?
I don't know that we're fortunate enough to have the next Cody Bellinger or Corey Seager on our roster as it currently stands. We've already lost a couple of players to the AA level already this season, but Connor Wong is a guy who was here last year and was a California League All-Star. He's been playing really well for us. Donovan Casey is another young stud in the outfield that's really talented and can do a lot of different things. He can run, he can hit with power, and defend as well. So those are definitely some of the top offensive weapons that we've got here on this ball club. This year's strength, strangely enough, I want to say it's pitching, and we've already lost a couple of guys up to the AA level, but we got a couple of guys in the rotation that can really bring it. 20-year-old Gerardo Carrillo is a really exciting young player. Tonight's starter Michael Grove is a guy that's out of West Virginia, a second-round draft pick that the Dodgers are heavily invested in. He had Tommy John surgery during his sophomore season at West Virginia, missed a season, and then was just drafted here last year. So this 2019 season, believe it or not, is Grove's professional debut. And while he hasn't necessarily put up the numbers that I think some people would like to see from a high round draft pick, he's definitely building. His last start was fantastic, probably one of his best starts of the season thus far. And I'm excited to see what he brings to the table tonight. So those are definitely a couple of names to keep an eye on for Quakes fans and Dodger fans as well.
Hey, and Mike, and finally, I know obviously you guys always have cool promotions out there. What are some of the things coming up at Lone Mart Field that fans can come check out? I know there's a night where you bring all the dogs to the ballpark. You guys have fireworks routinely. What's coming up out there at Lone Mart Field for Quakes fans?
Well, tomorrow night for the dog lovers, indeed, on Wednesday night here, what is that, May the 22nd anyway, we will have another Terra Vista Animal Hospital bark at the ballpark. We're going to have Thirsty Thursday this upcoming Thursday. I know you're familiar with the concept here, $2 Pepsis, $3 16-ounce beverages, the adult-style beverages, if you will, Pep. And then, of course, not this Saturday, but we'll be home the following Saturday as well. We've got fireworks at Lone Mart Field every Saturday night. It's a great experience for the family and very affordable. Fun, family, fun entertainment is how we build it.
Well, Mike, we always appreciate the time. I'm kind of bummed. I was getting used to seeing the white bar across your head, but it's gone now as we wrap up the interview, just in time, I guess.
Yeah, lucky us.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate it. Let's do it again real soon.
Miss you, boys. Take care.
All right. See you, Mike. That is Mike Lindskog, the voice of the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, proud affiliate of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And finally, let's wrap it up this segment because we are good friends with the 66ers and the Storm as well. 66ers this Saturday, they got a lot of run on social media because they're doing something outside the box like they do in minor league baseball. This Saturday and this Saturday only they will be the California Burritos. And it took off on Twitter and Instagram. People were trying to snatch up these hats. If you could see it, it's a burrito with French fries coming out the top, and there's a wrapper, and it's in the shape of California. So it's brilliant. So if a California burrito, if you're not, I think it's like carne asada. I think it's French fries. Pico de gallo might be in there. Some sour cream, some guac. So one night only. They will be the California burritos. That's Saturday night out there in San Bernardino, the 66ers. So just wanted to pass that along in case you wanted to get your California burrito hat or jersey. All right, we come back. We're talking high school football. The Heritage Patriots head coach, Kraig Broach, joined us live in studio on the Inland Sports TV show.
This is Alexander Madison. You're watching the Inland Sports Show.
What's going on, guys? Coach Bass here from Boost Training. We have a number of different options to help athletes develop here at the BPC, whether it's our off-season strength programming or it's our general sessions and even our one-on-one training sessions with either myself or one of our coaches here. So if you need that detailed coaching, book your one-on-one session today. Please feel free to contact me directly on Instagram at Boost Training or on Twitter, Boost_Training, or contact me directly here at the gym. Our number is 951-532-4904.
On the customer here. Believe it or not, that is the biggest thing for customers on an oil change. They just want the convenience of coming in, driving in, getting it done, and driving out. We just greet them, get them going, and they're done in about 10 minutes or so. We don't push any sales on them. We do the oil change, and I think that's what sets us apart is our customer service. Vacuumed and cleaned your windshield for you as well. Everything's looking pretty good. Come into us one time, believe me, we'll spoil you and you'll be ready to come back the next time.
The Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Spoiled Quick Quality Oil Change. Spoil yourself and your car at Spoiled. Kin Sporting Goods. They have all of your sporting gear needs, Letterman's jackets, and team uniforms. And Boost Performance Training with Coach Ray Bass. Athletes of all levels and all sports are going to Boost Performance Training in Corona.
Now, we've made a vow on this very show to talk high school football every single week. And you can't talk high school football without talking about the Heritage Patriots, one of our favorite guys in the world, Kraig Broach, the head coach. How are you doing, Coach?
I'm doing awesome. You know, school year is winding down and spring's starting, so it's a great time.
But you strike me as a guy who, you get to the summer, there's not a lot of downtime, though.
No, you're right. As the school year ends, football begins. And so, you know, we're a week and a half into spring, and so you really start looking towards next year. And it's an exciting time. That's why we do this stuff. And you talk to any of the head coaches around, this is a fun time for us.
Let me ask your wife, is it a fun time? Okay, it is, okay. Your wife's over here just off camera, because you're right. I mean, the football season, you know, it used to start the first or second week of August. Now, I don't know, it starts sometime in the spring, right, to get ready for the following year.
Yeah, right, and it's year-round. I mean, with lifting weights and now with passing league and spring ball and summer and how things are going. High school football is year-round, and you try to find breaks in between during certain times, and you try to keep it fresh for the boys, but at the same time, we're going, you know, and we're going.
Was it always like this? Because I remember, you know, I've covered local sports up and down California. I don't remember like 7-on-7 and like spring games, all the stuff at the like the high school level, like taking place. Like, is this new?
It is. It's growing. And so, you know, back when we were in high school, way back when, 7-on-7, what was that? You know? And so you're right. Football really didn't get started until the fall. But now that as we're going, it seems like the 7-on-7 is kind of infiltrated, and it's just you have to be part of it, and it's become more encompassing upon us as head coaches. And so it's a big commitment from everybody, from the players to the parents to the coaches.
And ironically, I love it when we, talk to teams like Heritage who love to run the football. It's no secret, right? And you go to the 7-on-7s, which I guess is great work for the secondary, right?
Right. So, I was crazy enough to sign up with the tournament over the weekend, and it's kind of funny because when we throw the ball, we're faking the run, and that still doesn't quite apply to 7-on-7. But there are individual aspects that you can work on with your quarterback and the type of reads that he's making. And you're right about the secondary. You do try to keep it within what you do, and you try to keep the kids fundamentally sound in their techniques, and that's always a balance. And sometimes you get into the part where you're doing too much and they're learning bad habits. So you really got to find that balance of making it still a positive experience.
That's a great point. In fact, you're not the first coach I've heard say that on this show. That's like they like the competition of it. They don't like developing the bad habits from it.
Right.
So,
and it's also as a coach too. So as you're calling plays at these tournaments, if you're calling something, planning for a defense for 7-on-7, you need to stop. You need to stop and work on some other things.
Well, Coach, before we look ahead to this year, going back to last year, when I think of Heritage football, I obviously that playoff game at Upland, it was a Saturday. It was bizarre circumstances.
Yes.
It was a 1-point loss. You had a chance to win. And then to see Upland go all the way to win the title, I mean, was it kind of, in a weird way, you're like, okay, at least we feel like we were a team that should have challenged for the championship. We had a really good team, but at the same point, it's like, we were that close. It could have been us.
Right. First of all, Upland, respect for everything they did in that situation there. And they deserved it. They were the best team in Division II, and so you give them all the credit. You obviously, as a coach, coaching staff, you go through the coulda, woulda, shouldas. If we did something a little bit differently, maybe I should have called a different play. When we had a chance to win, and we went for 2, and we didn't get it. And so you think about those things, and it drives you a little bit towards this year. And I know we're moving towards next year with the type of kids you have coming back and the excitement that's building, and how you can improve as a coach to give yourself a better chance. It's something we'll think about, not dwell, but we'll think about, and hopefully that'll help us in the future.
This is a question for you, but maybe more so for your wife. Did you think about it much? Or did you talk about it much at home? Or was it like, hey, it's over now?
I'll speak in our situation. I don't know if other head coaches can feel this here, but it sits on you, and so my loving wife, she'll look for things to say, or what can she say to make it better? And so there's nothing you could do, she could say, hey, that was a great effort, and it's
you're like,
I don't want to hear that, and so at a certain point, she just kind of just left me alone and let me deal with it for a while, and it's there's nothing she could do would be right in that moment right there.
Is it hard for you as a head coach, especially for the seniors?
Yes.
You're like, oh man, this, we were so close, and this was their last game. And is that a tough part of it?
It's a tough, and especially in that dramatic fashion where, you're trying to win, and bam, it's over. And then, so you look at these guys that you've been with since their freshman year, and you realize that's it. And speaking of like last year, IEBCA Tuatala, who, you come off and he gave everything he had, and that's why we're football coaches, for guys like that. And you realize, man, that's it with him. And that's the hard part. Losing sucks, but knowing that there's these guys that you've been around for a number of years and that they're moving on, that's what kicks you. And so, it'll take a month, and then that excitement starts to build, and come May, we're ready to rock.
Well, before we go on to, going into this season, speaking of guys moving on, Sione Takitaki was just drafted by the Cleveland Browns. He must be the first Heritage guy drafted, right?
He is. And so he's the first one drafted. We do have Jamal Morrow and Darius Allensworth playing in the Canadian Football League. But that was incredible. We knew that he was going to get drafted by reading all the background stories. But when you're sitting there and you're listening to the draft live and you're paying attention, but you're not, and then you hear his name, it was real surreal and an exciting time. And of course, the texts fly everywhere. And man, I couldn't be more proud of a kid. And you talk about us as teachers and coaches about he's not shy about his story, of what problems he had and where he is now, and man, that is so neat to see as an educator, and just being a part of that growth and seeing where he is now. It's just, what can you say? That's just it's a success story for him.
What do you remember from his high school days, other than he was physical and strong and just a brutal force out there? I mean, do you remember, watching him and thinking like he is just set apart from everybody else? And then, I mean, guys like that, do you see them even at that age and think this guy is NFL potential? I mean, is it hard to kind of gauge even when they're that young?
Maybe that part is hard to gauge, but he's something special.
Yeah.
And there's some parts, as a coach, you got certain players that you don't coach them. They have something in them that is uncoachable, and he had that special aspect. It wasn't even the physicality, it was just the understanding and the ability to make big plays and big moments. And I remember there was something going on. We were at a Beaumont game, and it was before our game, and the JV team from Beaumont came over into our team room, and they wanted to meet Sione because they heard so many great things about him.
Really?
And I was like, okay, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And just how passionate he was as a football player. Of course, he is one of the best we've been around, but he's a guy at practice that just loved playing football, and so we couldn't get him off the field at practice. He was not coming off to give anybody reps. He wanted both offensively, defensively to be out there at all times.
He played a little running back, didn't he?
Oh, he played a lot of running back.
Yeah.
And he was great at it, and man, he could run the football. I'm going to tell you, when I have 6'3", 240 run at you pretty fast, it makes my job, it makes my job pretty easy.
All right, let's talk about the schedule. The good news is, I guess you dropped Orange Lutheran. The bad news is, it doesn't get any easier because you've got a tough non-league. Here's the schedule real quick. You play at Etiwanda, at Oak Hills. You got Cajon, you got Rev, and you got Santiago. So you don't shy away from anybody.
No, and we've talked before. The whole idea we're trying to do is prepare ourselves for league, and and with that is put ourselves in position to make playoffs and play another week. And you're right about the non-league. I mean, Cajon, they're not going to drop. The coach does such a great job over there, and they have a program that is built to last. And Oak Hills always is just a dogfight. They're a physical team, and adding Santiago and adding Etiwanda, and Etiwanda's they're going to surprise some people this year. And so we got our work cut out for us. And luckily, that's way down the line, and at least we're undefeated for another 2 weeks or something. I don't know.
I don't think this will affect you too much, but I heard the playoff divisions are coming out Friday for this upcoming year.
Yeah.
You should still be Division II, right?
Yeah.
I can't imagine them moving you.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, we'll find out, but we're set in Division II, and so. It's great football. I mean, as we've seen the last couple of years, and when you get in Division II, you're playing some big boy football, and that's fun. Playing that Upland game, it stunk to lose, but man, seeing the talent on that field and being a part of that, you're going to remember games like that, and that's fun.
Did it cross your mind when you thought we could have had a rematch with Rancho Verde? For coming off that league title game, going into a possible CIF championship game, which you've done before,
right?
At Rancho Verde.
Yeah, you always kind of know where Rancho Verde is when it comes to playoffs, or even throughout the preseason and league season. And you look at what Pete's doing over there, and he's back and he's got it rolling. And man, they had a great run. And if things went differently, there are a lot of injuries with their team going into the finals game.
True.
We could be looking at them as Division II champs. And so I know they're building on what they did last year, and gosh, and our game with them was another tough one, and it's a great series, and it's kind of fun being in this league and talking about a game like that to end of the year. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, they weren't at full strength against Upland in that championship game. Mm-hmm. Coach, I mean, Heritage has been so good for so long. I mean, what's the secret? I mean, you lose guys, you bring new guys in. It just, some teams rebuild. I think the quote is, you don't rebuild, you reload. You just bring in new guys. I mean, what's the secret?
Well, I mean, we get good football players. I mean, let's start there. Let's be honest. There's a lot of great coaching staffs out there, and Heritage has been lucky enough where we have a number of good football players that come through. On the coaching side, what I will say is we have a staff that's been together for a long time. and there's no discrepancies in what we're trying to get across. We're all friends. We understand the vision. Nobody thinks too highly of themselves. It's a situation where you can argue without feeling like anything's going to happen afterwards. You can share ideas, and it's pretty darn awesome. So between talent coming through and great families and a coaching staff that's been together, and I got an old man dad that always tells me what I'm doing wrong. That helps. Between those three things, it makes it a pretty special place. And we have a lot of good people there at Heritage, and it makes my job easy. Being a head football coach, there's a lot that goes into it. And a place like Heritage where you just have support every which way you look, what else could I ask for? It's just incredible.
So, we talked about Tuatala a lot, but who are some of the guys going into next year? Do a little name dropping real quick. Who are the guys we should keep an eye on at Heritage?
Well, sure. We always got to talk line first at Heritage.
Of course,
and Philip Sear is going to be our return senior, and he's a stud.
I feel like he's been around forever.
Forever. He started some games actually his freshman year, but he's been starting full-time since his sophomore year. And there's not a better offensive lineman in this area, period. And he's physical and fast and dominant and great kid. We have other seniors like Adrian LaPro's been starting for 2 years, and Joseph Conguero. And speaking of young bucks, Ika's brother Conan Tuatala is going to be there as a sophomore.
Conan?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and he's a player too. And on the skill side, you have a guy that not too many people can have, and that's Kenny Teeter. He does a little bit of everything. He's a top running back. He can play corner. He can play safety. He just finds a way to make plays. And we have that, and I could keep on going, but the senior leadership this year is pretty darn special. There's just a number of kids that you love going to. We were just talking today, practice, you're worn out, but man, you just had a great time with a bunch of great kids, and that's a credit to the senior leadership this year, where it makes my job fun, and can't say enough about them, and man, this is going to be a fun group to be around.
Do you see some of these classes come through, and maybe even when they're younger, maybe like the Philip Sears when they're like freshman or sophomore, and you're like, man, can't wait when this group's going to be seniors. Do you ever look on the horizon what's coming up? Even maybe right now you got some young guys that you're excited about.
You do, but there's kind of a
or do you owe it to the seniors to put your
so there's kind of an old joke, and the Heritage guys will know this, is when freshmen come, the first thing I tell them is that I do not like you, freshmen. And we make that clear from the start, and that kind of rides throughout the year, because we do try to make it about the seniors. This is their last year. Whatever we can do to make their season great's what we're going to do. There's a bunch of young guys at Heritage that are going to be great football players, but let's focus on the seniors, because they're special guys and they deserve this moment here. They deserve the next 6 to 7 months. And we were talking today is, we just started, and seniors, it's almost over. You got to keep that perspective. You're going to be done with high school football here in the 6-month period of time, and that's it for
hopefully deep in December.
Well, yeah, and for a lot of these guys, 80-90% of them, this will be the last football that they play. So let's make sure we do what we can to make the most of it.
Well, Coach, we always appreciate the time. We're big fans of Heritage football around here, so continued success.
Thanks,
and we're excited for that daunting non-league schedule you got coming up.
Yeah, right.
Do you schedule it, or, are you the guy who just picks up the phone and you call, I don't know, Coach Morrison at Santiago?
Yeah,
hey, let's do this.
I'd say our athletic director knows me well enough, and and I put a lot of trust in him and Scott Moore, and he calls everybody and he sets it all up, and it's nice that we have good relationships with the other programs where we respect one another about going things the right way, and makes things easier.
Who's your scrimmage against? I'm just curious.
Murrieta Valley.
Okay.
And we've scrimmaged them for a number of years. We didn't last year because we didn't play a 0 week, but we're coming back and we're setting that up again. And that's always a great way for us to set up for late.
They're always strong.
Oh, they're always strong. They will be this year.
Kraig Broach, everybody, the head coach of the Heritage Patriots. Coach, we appreciate the time, and best of luck going into this season.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, that's Coach Broach. When we come back, we'll talk a little CBU baseball on the Inland Sports Show.
The Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Spoiled. Quick, quality oil change. Spoil yourself and your car at Spoiled. Kin Sporting Goods. They have all of your sporting gear needs, Letterman's jackets, and team uniforms. And Boost Performance Training with Coach Ray Bass. Athletes of all levels and all sports are going to Boost Performance Training in Corona.
First of all, I thank the great people that I've got around me that help support me, the people that work for me. As I started, if it wasn't for the people around me, we probably wouldn't be here right now, but I've got a great staff. I've got great people that do stuff for us outside the store, and we've been very, very fortunate. Our service is impeccable, and we just keep trying to get better every year. We can do online stuff for your teams, as well as, like I said, the screen printing, the embroidery. We also have 3 women that do extra sewing for us, like tackle tool on uniforms, or the bling or rhinestones for different shirts for the ladies. That's why we have certain racks just for certain schools, and the fun about that is that it turns into other schools that may come in here that aren't as close, that we can do stuff for them as well. We've had very, very good customers throughout the years, and it's just been a blast.
What's going on, guys? Coach Bass here from Boost Training. Letting you know, if you haven't already, check out my new series of videos called 2 cents in 20 seconds, where I'll be talking about everything from strength training, motivation, and everything in between. You can find it on our social media platforms, on Instagram at Boost Training, on Facebook, search for Boost Training, or on Twitter, Boost_Training. Check it out.
Here's Connor Cannon stepping in for UC Riverside. First pitch from Chapman. First pitch swinging. Fly ball deep to right. Tracking back is caught in the right fielder. Looking up. And another cannon blast. 17th home run of the year to right center field. That is a new UC Riverside record for a single season. He breaks the record shared by Brad Pounder in 1984 and Jason Clark in 1997. New single season all-time record. Cannon's 17th home run of the year. Hadn't hit one since April 28th. It's a 1-1 tie.
And that was Connor Cannon out of Temecula Valley High School. Ghazal Hassan, our dear friend, on the call for UC Riverside baseball. Connor Cannon, your home run king for the Highlanders. 17 on the season. That's a school record, Division I. 35 career home runs. That's a school record now. So Connor King, the all-time home run king at UCR. Now moving on to CBU baseball, and the Lancers came back from New Mexico State with a share of the WAC regular season championship. First year in Division I, first year in the WAC, and there's the Lancers. That's them in Las Cruces, taking 2 out of 3 against New Mexico State to win a share of the WAC regular season title. So they were in New Mexico, and then they flew back late Saturday night, and we have a little bit of video courtesy of CBU Athletics. They flew back to Riverside, and I'm going to guess this was probably 10, 11 o'clock at night, and what they did was they reenacted the final out against New Mexico State that clinched a share of the WAC title. They had a big dog pile on their home field at Topman Stadium at CBU. So I think, Anthony, we got a little bit of video of that. So they came back from that long flight from New Mexico. This is back in Riverside. They flew back, got on their home field, and again, they reenacted. This was the play that ended it all, that gave them a share of the conference title. The final out, the guys rush out from the dugout, they dogpile on the infield, and they are your WAC champions. So that's pretty exciting out there to celebrate on their home field as they get a share of that regular season championship. First year in the WAC, pretty impressive. All right, one other note from CBU basketball now. This is big news because a couple weeks ago we broke the news here on the Inland Sports Show that basketball star Milan Aqua was going to enter the NBA draft after his sophomore season with the Lancers. The caveat to that was that he did not hire an agent. So that meant he still left the door a little bit open to come back to CBU. Well, we found out just a couple days ago that Milan Aqua has taken his name out of the NBA draft, and he is coming back to California Baptist University. So head coach Rick Croy will get another season with Milan Aqua, which I'm sure he is not complaining. Aqua was fantastic for the Lancers this season. We got some highlights of Milan Aqua from this past year. His first year with CBU, because remember, he was a transfer from Washington State. He's a Pac-12 guy. Well, he's coming back, and Milan Aqua's first year with the Lancers, unbelievable. He led the WAC in scoring at 19 points per game. He was first team All-WAC. He was the WAC Newcomer of the Year. 5 rebounds per game, over 3 assists, nearly 2 steals, and again, nearly 20 points per game. First year on the job here at CBU. And if you're a Lancers basketball fan, you should be celebrating in the streets of Riverside because Milan Aqua is coming back. And we're going to get an interview soon, hopefully in the next week or two, with head coach Rick Croy to talk about their upcoming season and getting Milan Aqua back. Man, that's a big addition for the Lancers. And finally, let's round things out. Our own senior writer, Daryl Trujillo, was covering the CIF Southern Section Golf Championships. He was wandering around the links, covering some great high school golf, and he stumbled into T.L. Brown. He is the head coach for the CBU men's golf team, and we caught up with T.L. Brown to talk about this season for CBU. It was a great year for the men's golf team and what it looks like coming up next season for the Lancers. Here's T.L. Brown.
Inland Sports.
I'd say not too bad in our first year. I think we grew a little bit. We were a young team. Would have liked to see a team win, but we definitely had some good individual finishes.
Good momentum going forward into the off season for you guys.
Yeah, we've got a young team call coming back. They're going to play a lot this summer. Our 2 recruits we just signed, one from Arizona, one from Nevada, just both won their state championships. So exciting future in our second year of D1.
And it's a bright future indeed for the Lancers. Talk about some of the goals you have for year 2 in the Division I era.
Well, I'd like to see our program win a team event. I'd like us to finish in the top 2 in the WAC, even though we can't truly win the WAC for the next 3 years. I'd like to see us finish in the top 2. Also like us to see us win and beat Mark Machado on the women's team for the best academic team in the department. His team has just been dominatory in the classroom, but I'd like to see some more academic All-American.
Thank you for your time, Coach. Good luck next year.
Thanks up.
All right.
Inland Sports.
Great job, senior writer Daryl Trujillo. All right, that's going to do it for this show, the Inland Sports Show. We're here every single Tuesday night. We all know Anthony Trujillo does all the work back there here at Teen Vision TV 16. We love this place, and it's a beautiful facility. We can't thank these guys enough for letting us call this home each and every week. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about the CBU Athletics' first year in Division I, and we'll also kind of round up the high school year. Plus, remember, Friday, the football playoff divisions come out, and there's a lot of teams keeping an eye on that. In fact, I'm thinking of a team like Rancho Verde, who's in Division II. Could they be moved up to Division I? That comes out Friday. We'll talk about it Tuesday right here on the Inland Sports Show. Jeff Gorham had the night off. My name is Pep Fernandez. For everyone with the Inland Sports Show and our friends here at Teen Vision TV 16, we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next Tuesday night, 6 o'clock, for the Inland Sports Show.